And then the other great thing about divorce, which always causes problems, is dividing up the money that the couple have.
That can be a problem.
Yes, always a problem.
Oh, that can
Well,
be.
no, almost always a problem. So how does that work in Spain? What is the basis of the Spanish law that decides who gets what in the circumstances of a divorce?
Yeah. If there is any agreement, that agreement will be applicable. Okay. If there is no agreement, in principle, the law in Spain will understand that we must liquidate the asset, the existing asset. Okay. It is necessary to establish where the family, the children, are going to continue living. Okay. And including if that property is a property that you bought when you were single, okay, the judge can force you for your family, your wife, and the children continue living there, and we will liquidate the asset, okay, and that is going to depend of the agreement that we can get, and if there is no agreement, it's the judge who is going to do it.
Yes.
Okay.
He will decide.
Yeah, he will decide.
Or she will decide, of course, these days.
Yeah.
Yes. I think at this point, therefore, we need to have a little side trip into a bit of another part of Spanish family law, and that is the matrimonial regimes. Because in Spain, when you get married, you can decide whether your marriage is to be governed by the regime of comunidad de bienes or of separación de bienes.
Correct.
And this will vary somewhat between the various provinces of Spain, won't it? Depending on where you are, it'll be a different set of arrangements. So let's just go a little bit into that. If you decide to get married under the regime of comunidad de bienes, community ownership of assets, what is the legal effect of that?
The legal effect is that all that you are buying during your marriage, okay, belong to both, 50-50.
So if I get married and I have 100,000 euros in the bank, and my wife has nothing in the bank, then that 100,000 euros still belongs to me. But everything we get during the time we're married, whether I earn it or she earns it, is going to go into the communal pot. It's going to belong to both of us equally.
50-50.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the regime of separación de bienes then is what? What's the effect of that?
That is a regime that you can sign, okay, before getting married or after, okay, and according with that, you will own what you are buying or you are getting to do during the marriage. It is that if I buy a property myself, that property is going to be only mine 100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, so all of the money I earned from my employment would belong to me. All of the money my wife earned from her employment would belong to her.
Correct.
Now, this is obviously a big difference between those two.
Yeah.
And, of course, in many cases, in other countries, they don't have those rules. So if you live in France or Italy, for example, they do have those rules. And so if you have chosen to be ruled by the community rules in, say, France, I assume the Spanish would say, well, therefore you're ruled by the community rules in Spain as well.
Yeah.
But what do you do for someone from the United Kingdom or the United States where you do not have this system?
Yeah. It is necessary to explain that system, and it is necessary to check what is the law that will be applicable to get the divorce in order to do that. For example, if you are getting married, if a Spanish is getting married with English, okay, and you have been living after getting married in Spain, the system of community will be applicable to you because you have been living in Spain after getting married. It is that, including before getting married, it will be necessary to get advice about what is going to be your marriage situation after getting married. Yeah.
And if two, say, English people, where this arrangement doesn't happen, came to live in Spain and they later wanted to get divorced, then in general terms, the court would look at what happens in England and they would say, well, the nearest to what we do here is separation of ownership, and therefore they would say we will treat you as separation of ownership.
That is.
And I think it's this is quite important for people who come from those nationalities, because if you sort this out sooner, it is easier than sorting it out later.
Yeah.
But it's easier to sort these things out when you're friendly rather than when you have an argument.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, this partly explains why when you buy a house in Spain, for example, in the title, it will say, this house belongs to Mr. So-and-so, married in the régimen de separación de bienes, because there you are making a statement that when you buy this house, this house is going to be treated as your asset rather than the communal assets.
Yeah. From the legal point of view, for some things, you can use the procedure in Spain. You can use the Spanish codes, okay, to buy a property. You can use the Spanish system to buy the property. But there are some things that are going to follow you as a shadow.
Yes,
okay?
exactly.
That is your national law.
Yes.
And if you are British and you got married in Britain, it is that the regime of your marriage situation is going to shadow you. It is that if you buy something in your name, it is 100% of you. It doesn't matter if you are buying in Spain or in Italy or in your own country. Okay, and for getting the divorce, to do the separation of assets, okay, we must follow that rules. The rules that will be applicable depending of your national law.
And for those people who've lived in Spain for 20 years and they say, well, this has never been of trouble to me, I've never had to worry about these things. Of course, the laws changed quite a lot on this in the last couple of years. Was it 2014? I forget now, when the European Union directive came in. Yeah. So these things now are much more important than they were 20 years ago. 20 years ago, the notary or the judge would just look at you and say, oh, they're British. I don't understand any of this stuff. Let's call it separación de bienes. And that was it, nothing more. But today, it is more scientific, and the law is much clearer about what needs to happen.
That is. At this moment, we have, after the European resolution, and it is more clear what law will be applicable and which code system you can use to get it divorced. Yeah.
And of course, these new rules also give you opportunities to plan your affairs, because for most foreign people living in Spain, they can either choose to be governed by their own national system or by the Spanish system.
That is correct.
So depending on the choice you make there, it could have a huge difference, financial difference.
And consequences can be absolutely
enormous. Yeah. Yes. So that's an important point they need to be discussing with their lawyer early on.
Of course.
And I guess the other important point is to say, well, you're living in Spain now. Do you want to get a divorce in Spain, or would you prefer to get a divorce back in the country where you got married?
Yeah.
Because again, that could have a big difference in the way in which everything turns out.
Yeah, that is. It can be a big difference. And before starting a divorcing procedure in Spain, it is necessary to analyze the consequence that you are going to have with doing that. Yeah.
But the good news is that unless there is a very good reason why you want to go and get involved in the divorce procedure in your former country, if you take advantage of the Spanish system, it is quick, it is fairly inexpensive, and the results can be very flexible.
That is correct. Yeah.